Happy Friday and welcome to a new edition of our webinar series, Lunch and Learn. My name is Marta Jimenez Lutter, and I am the Manager for Student and Candidate Engagement at the Society of Actuaries. Today we have a very special webinar with two members of the Society of Actuaries that have a very real impact in our students, our candidates, and anybody who is considering joining the Society of Actuaries family of actuaries. First but not, this is not in order of importance or preference, it's just the way we have decided to go with it today. We have Tiffany Tatsumi. Tiffany Tatsumi is a veteran of the Society of Actuaries. She's been with us since 2014 and has worked in different roles in the education department. She currently is the manager for university programs, and she does a variety of things. She currently oversees the success of the Society of Actuaries' various academic and university-related programs. And I am going to let her tell you a little bit about what she does in her own words in a minute. Then we have Elizabeth Main. Elizabeth is not a veteran, but she has jumped into the Society of Actuaries engagement team with both feet forward. She is our university pipeline specialist. She comes to us with a wealth of experience in the education arena. She is a dedicated member of our team, and she plays a crucial role in student outreach. Again, I'm going to let Tiffany tell us a little bit about who she is and what she does. And then, Elizabeth, you can take it over from there and tell our audience a little bit of who you are and what you're doing. And then we're going to start with our presentation. Anybody who has any questions, as usual, can enter them in the Q&A. And this will be recorded and available for anybody to watch at their own leisure. Tiffany, the floor is yours. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do at the Society of Actuaries.
Great. Thank you so much for the introduction, Marta. Yeah, like Marta said, I've been around for almost 12 years now. It's hard to believe that. I started in the exams department, so had a little bit of background there. But ever since about 2015, I've been in the university space. So I manage various university programs and resources, including the Centers of Actuarial Excellence, that's our CAE program, our UCAP, Universities and Colleges with Actuarial Programs program, UEC, University Earned Credit, and another big one is our PhD stipend, our Hickman Scholar stipend, which kind of ties things together as well. So I'm really happy to be here to chat a little bit today about micro-credentials, from the education standpoints. And I guess from there, I'll hand it to Elizabeth to say a little bit more about herself.
Thank you, Tiffany, and thank you, Martha, for inviting me. It's pretty an honor to be here sharing this space. Something that I love about this role is student-facing, right? You're able to support students, and part of my role is, traveling across the U.S., going to different universities, endorsing what is the actual field. I meet some students that sometimes know a wealth of what it is, and they're on their, second, third exams, and then I have other students who are more in the initial aspect of their journey, right? So it's a little bit of everything, kind of helping students and meeting them at their level. And we definitely have a plethora of good resources at SOA that I'm always happy to share with our students.
And you do it so well. Thank you so much. Tiffany, what are micro-credentials? What can you do with them? How do you get them? Tell us all about it and share with everybody what this new-ish resources for our candidates are.
Definitely. Yeah. Very excited to chat a little bit about this. So while I do, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, just poke around the SOA website a little bit so that folks on the call and those of you that will be viewing this later as well can navigate to learn a little bit more specifically, poke into things a little bit more specifically. So here on screen, you'll see that I have pulled up an overview of our micro-credentials. You'll see that there are 3 of them. They are the Pre-Actuarial Foundations micro-credential, Actuarial Science Foundations micro-credential, and the Data Science for Actuaries micro-credential. So from the micro-credential landing page, it goes over a little bit of, what the reasons behind why we put this in place, what you are essentially demonstrating that you have knowledge of by passing certain components that lead to these micro-credentials. All really good stuff that I would recommend to check out on the website to read through. But what I want to do is I want to click through to show you the different components that go into them. Like Marta, like you asked, how do you earn them, right? It's really exciting because with the addition of our micro-credentials, it allows our candidates to demonstrate, again, certain knowledge as they go along the ASA path. So as opposed to, you know, waiting until you're all the way at the end and having earned your associateship degree to show fundamental mastery of actuarial science topics, here you're able to point to, you know, certain milestones over the course of your ASA, studying for those exams, completing components on our pathway, and actually have something more tangible to show. You know, you have a digital badge that you can then attach to your resume, to your maybe email signature, ways to track your progress. So with that, I'm going to just poke around to show you exactly what goes into them. I love this pathway graphic. We've had it around for quite a few years now. I think it's, you know, for one thing, it's really intuitive and easy to kind of read through. And what I'll do first, actually, is I'll go through the ASA pathway graphic just to, you know, remind folks how to read it, and then from there go into the micro-credential pieces. So here you can see a general overview of what it takes to earn the ASA or Associate of the Society of Actuaries designation. You'll see that there's various different colors, different shapes, and what these represent are different components on the pathway. So the components in blue, those are our exams. Those are the ones that we go to the parametric testing centers and complete our CBT exams for. The green items, those are VEE or validation by educational experience topics. And so those are components that candidates, students in particular, have the opportunity to earn at university. There's a long list of courses that are approved for VEE on the VEE directory on the SOA website. So you can see at your university what VEE topics are covered and by what courses, so you can plan your academic year, academic career accordingly. There are also other ways to earn VEE outside of university as well. We have alternate options that you can read about on the website too. You'll notice pieces in yellow. These are our e-learning. These are more on your own time, more, you know, instead of going into an exam and doing a multiple choice exam. Here, you're actually able to flex your thinking skills, you know, respond to kind of real world questions, another way to demonstrate your knowledge about certain items. It's all capped off by a seminar called the Associateship Professionalism course, APC. And once all of these components are completed, a candidate can, you know, have those letters ASA after their names. But again, like I mentioned, the exciting thing about my credentials is that by going through this pathway, you're working towards your ASA. But going through this pathway, you have the opportunity to show these learning milestones, right? So let me back up here. So, you know, in overviewing this whole beautiful graphic here, you'll see that pre-actuarial, actuarial science, and data science for actuaries, each of these micro-credentials is I linked to certain components on the pathway. And actually, let me go back to the ASA pathway here. I talked about the colors, right? I didn't talk about the shapes or the columns. So typically when a candidate is going through to earn their ASA, they will take these components or earn these components by stage, by column. You'll see foundations, actuarial 1, 2, and so on. There's some components that have formal prerequisites, but these are kind of the suggested, you know, learning stages that we recommend. The shapes here, for example, this mathematical statistics, you'll see, you know, it's a little bit longer on the left side than it is the right side. What this is saying is that having a good base in probability and economics will help you to then transition into some mathematical statistics topics, so on and so forth. Again, some of them are formal prerequisites, but most of them are suggested, and this is just kind of our suggested way to navigate through the pathway. So with that, if we click into our pre-actuarial foundations micro-credential, you'll see that a candidate who has completed all of the components under this first column, foundations, will earn the pre-actuarial foundations micro-credential. So with that, you will get that badge to show that you have, you know, the learnings you've sort of proven that you have mastery over these topics. Onto Actuarial Science Foundations, it just builds on the first one. So you earn your pre-Actuarial Foundations micro-credential, and then you earn the Actuarial Science Foundations micro-credential on top of that. And while the data science for actuaries one, it does, you earn it still on your way to ASA. It's a little bit different because it's specifically focused on more of that data science topics. And so this is a good way to kind of show your proficiency in some of these predictive analytics pieces. You'll see that there's, the PA exam, the PA e-learning topic, and of course, PA rests on some of this SRM exam topics as well. So that's kind of my general overview of micro-credentials. Each of these components you can click into to learn a little bit more about what each of them are, exactly what each type of component is. And yeah, so that's really what I wanted to cover today. There may be some questions that come out, but that's what I wanted to kind of navigate through.
I have been at the Society of Actuaries forever, and it's the first time I realized that the shapes have a specific meaning behind them. And I love that you explained that because
I used to do some university outreach just like Elizabeth did. And so this is the kind of stuff that we would talk about on campus, just how to read the things so that when you can go back to take a look, you'll kind of understand a little bit better what we're looking at. Yeah.
And I love that we came up with this because it would a long time ago when I would be at events, people would be asking me, what exam should I take first? And I love that there's a guide. As you said, it doesn't mean that you have to adhere to it as strictly, especially like the first two exams. Some people take P, probability, or some people take FM first. It doesn't matter which one you take first, but I think it makes sense to follow kind of along this. So this is wonderful. We have a question. I took exams several years ago. Would they count towards earning a micro-credential? That's a great question.
Yeah, so the formal exams, if you've taken, so let me share my screen again. I know I just popped that off, but it'll be helpful to kind of poke around here too. So there's a couple things, and I'll even take that question a step further as well. So yeah, the question at hand is, so let's say I took the FM exam maybe 3 years ago. I passed the FM exam. Yeah, any credit that you have earned for an exam will count toward a micro-credential as you kind of progress through. The micro-credential is more so a recognition that you've completed these components. And so that's no issue at all. I did want to also point out the VEE pieces of it as well, because there's some considerations with that it's good for students, for candidates to have in mind, especially starting out. So validation by educational experience. As I mentioned, you have the opportunity to earn that while you're at university. You have to pass the course with a certain grade or better. And once you have a couple of exams under your belt, you can actually go in to apply for it. But there's also, a difference between when you earn the credit, you've earned it, right? And then going to apply for the credit. So when we're counting our micro-credential pieces, you could have taken your economics, your micro and macro courses to earn the full VEE, topic credit. Once you go in and once you apply for those topics, that's when, the credit for the micro-credential kicks in. So there may be a difference. Maybe in your freshman year, you're taking micro and macroeconomics, and maybe you claim it in your sophomore. That's kind of how that could piece together, where it's maybe not necessarily instant like an FM exam. You go take that exam, you pass it, it's on your transcript. VEE, there could be some delay just based on when you do apply for it, but all of that will count toward your micro-credentials. Long answer to that question.
No, very thorough, and I love it. Very good. Well, and to make sure that we have enough time for everybody, thank you so much, Tiffany. We'll see if we get any other questions. Elizabeth, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I'm going to be sharing a deck of slides that we can take a look at. Let's put from the beginning. Okay, excellent. Just get that loading. So I kind of want to talk about the university resources. And so my colleague did a wonderful job of talking about the credentials. This is a good way that I always emphasize that. And it's a good way to kind of endorse your progress to employers and also a good way to kind of market yourself. So it's a good tool that you can utilize on your LinkedIn with your professors and so forth. Another tool that we have at SOA is the affiliate membership. And this membership is free for everyone to join. So I encourage everyone, whether it's today, this weekend, whenever you have an opportunity to really take a look into this platform. So on the side of my screen, I took a screenshot of what the website looks like. So we have a better understanding when we're kind of logging in. It's pretty self-explanatory. When you kind of, go on the website, you can click on I'm ready to join here and you can kind of look into like the benefits and so forth. But this is the first initial step of how it looks like. Then I'm going to be talking about like the benefits that we have. So with the affiliate membership, we have a plethora of benefits. The first one that I like is going to be the e-learning content, right? You have on-demand videos that you can look at, whether it's Python, whether it's Excel, from basics to advanced. All of these modules are available for you to use. There's no fee for this, and you can be looking at many courses simultaneously. So you can be looking at professional development and then going on Python and so forth. And you can also look at past Lunch and Learn. So that's another a good resource as well. We also have the peer-to-peer network, which is a wonderful way to connect with peers across the US and also a good way to kind of develop your skills and kind of develop communication skills and also, kind of build some resources with that. We also have the Candidate and Connect events, and this is a good event. It's kind of like what we have today, where it's a live virtual event where you're able to kind of have your questions answered by Actuary. You're able to kind of see what are some things happening at SOA, the resources, events, anything you just want to kind of be ears on the profession. Something else that I really like and I always endorse for students is the mentoring aspect. So with the mentoring aspect, we have two areas. We have the 3-month relationship where you're able to kind of connect with a mentor who is an actuary who is practicing. You're able to ask questions about, why you decided to go into the profession, any feedback, any thoughts that you can kind of improve in your career path, or you can also do the flash mentoring. And with that module, it's just a 30-minute consultation that you're asking a quick question, anything that's lingering, right? Whether if you just have a quick question about, which a sequence of what is a good time to take those exams or anything like that, and so forth. So these are kind of like the benefits that we have with SOA affiliate membership. And then something else that we also have is the online example exams for P and FP. These are good resources, especially when you're starting on in your career and you're kind of trying to get kind of endorse what are the exams, how they look like. It's a good way for you to take an example of the exam, take time to read the material, to give yourself time to go to the library, look at the material, time yourself to understand the complexity of the exams and also kind of have a rubric on that. And then this is also the pathway to becoming an SOA credential actuary. So like my colleague mentioned, we have the initial exams, the financial mathematics, probability. We also have more as we kind of progress. And something that I also do want to emphasize that typically some candidates are spending between 300 to 600 hours, studying for exams. I do want to emphasize that it really depends all on your learning styles. And so this is a good way for you to kind of emphasize if you need more time, I would plan ample amount of time for that. And like I mentioned in my previous slide, we do have online examples that you can look at. And it's a good way for you to time yourself to know prior to registering and prior to taking that on. And then, like my colleague mentioned, we also have the SOA micro credentials. This is a wonderful way to kind of, endorse yourself, a wonderful way to kind of demonstrate that you've mastered the material, whether it's on your LinkedIn or whether you just want to share with colleagues or friends. And it's a good way to kind of track your progress. And I also attached right here the QR code. I'm going to move my little screen so you can kind of take a look at that. So you're welcome to take a screenshot of this, take a picture. This is also the direct link to the site. And then this is a new initiative that we have, which is the SOA US Student Ambassador. And so with this new initiative, we're endorsing, taking leadership in your own campus, right? What better opportunity to help your peers by also helping yourself and learning about the profession. You're able to lead your peers into what we're doing. You're able to kind of talk about the field of actuaries. You're able to connect with actuaries in your community. You're also able to connect with students that perhaps didn't know about the profession. And you're also able to inspire students about how they're working in their field. So this is our website with the SOA US Student Ambassador. These are our pillars that we have, which is lead, connect, and inspire. With these pillars, it's kind of how we're kind of looking at the program, things that we're looking. We're also kind of talking about, the SOA. It's a good opportunity for students to kind of want to reinforce the leadership opportunities in campus. Whether you're kind of in the initial step, whether you're learning, it's a good way for you to kind of go about them. I also recommend students that whether you don't have anything on your resume and you're learning or you're trying to get something on your resume, this is a great tool that you can utilize. It's a cool way that you can be a leader in campus, kind of develop those leadership skills. It's also a good opportunity because you're able to kind of share your path, where you're able to share, exam registration with your peers. You're able to kind of have accountability. And also it's a community where you also have monthly calls and we're able to kind of talk about topics about what is the field of actuary, what makes a good candidate, what makes a good resume, what are some professional development that you can be working on, right? I think that many times students, they think that because they're their initial steps, it's very hard for them to connect. But really, connecting is just, talking to another person, right? Whether you're doing it with a student, you're doing it with a faculty, or you're doing it with an advisor, it's a good way to kind of develop that ground foundation so that when you're actually working in the workforce, you have those skills already. And this is a good way for you to develop those skills in campus. You can have, virtual events, in-person events. It's a good way to also kind of know about SOA, and you also have a mentorship. So I will be working with you, talking about, the decks of slides that we have, talking about the pathway, and also talking about other videos, other resources that you have that you can be sharing with your students as well. So this is a little bit about the SOA Student Ambassador Program. Like I mentioned, it's a good way to, develop leadership skills. It's a good way to also inspire, your peers, but at the same time building your professional development, also putting your name out there and also building your criteria. So I want to just be mindful of time in case we have any questions. So I'm going to be stopping right here. But before I kind of stop on this, I just want to move my little slide here. This is a direct link to the SOA Student Ambassador programs. And I do want to emphasize the US because we do have an international program. That way we kind of emphasize it is with a US one.
This is a great program. One of the things that we wanted to talk about today was this program because it's new and I wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance to learn more about it. If they need to find out more about it, they can contact you at the accessing that QR code that you shared. And is there anything that you get asked about this program from the students? Anything that you want to share maybe with our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think many students sometimes get discouraged because they feel that they're either too young in their college professional field. And I always say, even if you're a freshman student, you're welcome to apply. I think the sooner you put yourself out there, the sooner you kind of get those skills, the better. Sometimes I have students asking, well, I am not part of an actuary club. Can I still join? And I say, absolutely, right? You don't have to be tied to our organization, but it does help you if you are already a president. Let's say that you're a vice president, treasurer, anything with the e-board, it does help you already because you're already kind of facilitating those programmings. You're already having actuaries come on campus. So it's a good way to kind of have a layer of an additional support. Will provide SOA merch for our student ambassadors. We'll provide some decks for students. We'll also have like monthly calls. So you have kind of guidance on a more monthly basis. So that's why I always want to recommend that students from different levels in college are more than welcome to apply. And you don't have to be an actuary major. I feel sometimes students ask, oh, do I say I have to, by no means. It does help your profession and it does help with your networking skills, but this is open for students who want to become actuaries and who have a desire to lead and inspire and be that pillar in their communities.
It sounds like a fantastic opportunity. I have a question here. Do I need to have passed a certain amount of exams to become a student ambassador?
No, you don't. So right now we have on the application that we do ask students. It's not a criteria, but it's a good way for us to kind of, bar park what are some things that our student mentors need assistance because we want to be mindful that we want to port to our ambassadors. So we have quarterly workshops. By no means do they have to, but it's a good way for them to do. And during the calls, I will be encouraging you, please take those two exams because it's really important when you're looking for an internship. Many employers are looking for those first two, and then as you're progressing in your career, you'll be able to kind of tackle those other additional exams.
But they are not required. So anybody
Yes.
who is thinking about applying for this program and getting themselves that leadership experience that is so important nowadays, should go ahead and just apply and maybe sign up for the exam. And that sometimes is just enough to show that you are committed to the pathway. How long is the term? I have another question. How long
Yeah,
is the term?
absolutely. Right now we have for 2 years, but really it all depends and it's all fluctuating. If you're applying as a senior, obviously you won't be able to do 2 years. If you're a freshman, you can kind of reap those benefits and do it for 2 years. The cool thing about this program is that it's virtual. It's within your own campus, so you don't have to travel, right? In comparison how I'm traveling around the US, you're not traveling, it's in your campus. And it's also a good way for you to develop your networking in campus, right? Because we don't know from a year from today, 5 years from today, oh, I remember you were the person endorsing SOA. Oh, yeah, we're actually hiring, or we have an event or conference. Would you like to speak? So it really opens doors and it kind of positions you in a way that you are a leader in the community and a great way as a student to get your foot in the door.
Yes, it's a great opportunity to network and as you say, just get your name known because you're going to be interacting with those employers, with the professors, with other candidates like you, who, might be your colleagues or even your bosses in the future. So absolutely wonderful program. I'm very excited to see how this develop and how I know that you already have a good amount of student ambassadors that have signed up. You've been traveling so much through all the country, the United States, and talking about the program and recruiting people. So I hope that after we make this available to everybody, that you hear even more from more students who want to join. I have a question for Tiffany. How long does it typically take to earn a micro credential?
Yeah, another great question. And the quick answer is it depends. Now, let me bring up my screen again so I can kind of more pointedly provide some context for that. So if you recall, looking at the overall ASA pathway, right? All of our 5 columns, all the colors, all the shapes, and comparing that to the what is needed to earn the micro credentials, right? So because we typically advise, and because of the experience of a student that's at university or somebody starting off on the pathway, you're looking at completing those components roughly in this order, right? Roughly column to column. You can expect the pre-actuarial foundations micro-credential to be earned quicker, obviously, than the actuarial science foundations because, one of them needs to be completed before the other. But you'll also see this data science for actuaries, right? We've even got a component in that 4th column there, some more advanced pieces, right? So the predictive analytics, that's typically one of the last exams that a student will take or a candidate will take. A lot of times we see students at university, if they know they want to do actuarial science, if there are courses at their university that support SOA curriculum and help students learn the material toward an exam, you might see students maybe passing 1 or 2 exams before graduation, maybe focusing on an internship. But of course, there are also students who are able to achieve more than that before graduation. So it kind of just depends on what you're able to, the resources that you access, what you might be seeking out to do in your own time for example, e-learning, e-learning pieces. But I would say that, if we're looking at the 3 micro-credentials, the very first one, the pre-actuarial foundations, you can likely knock out some of these while you're at university, especially these VEE pieces, the earning of it at the very least, even if you don't apply for them at that point. But again, pointing back to typically the first couple of exams that candidates take, PNFM, and then that e-learning component. So a long way of saying the short answer of it depends.
Very good. It's a very good answer because we know that the pathway is different for everybody, and that's the beauty of it. You can kind of do it at your own pace and adjust it to what's going on in your life. We know that there is a lot that we all take under our care. So that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you, Tiffany and Elizabeth, so much. I think this is going to be amazing information for all of our students and all of our candidates to have readily available in a digital library. I hope, Tiffany, that your trip continues to go well and you have a safe trip back home. Elizabeth, I hope you don't have to travel this coming week since it's Thanksgiving here in the United States, and have a wonderful weekend. And thank you again for being our Lunch and Learn hostess with the mostest for today. Bye.
Thank you, Marta.
Thank you.